Thank you. You too, baby. Best to your family.
I know y'all seen her blow the kiss.
I saw it. I saw it.
I know, I know y'all seen her call me baby.
I saw it.
What's going on, guys? For Complex News, it's 360 with Speedy Mormon. I'm him, and we have a very special guest in the building today. She's a two-time Golden Globe nominee. She's an international superstar and icon, and she is sipping something that looks delicious. Jennifer Lopez, J.Lo, is in the building. J.Lo, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. What are you sipping on, if you don't mind me asking?
It's just a little café con leche, but they put like cinnamon and foam on the top for me.
A little fancy. Okay, not bad. Obviously, you've always got a lot going on. You got a new single out. You have a movie that you'll be promoting that's coming out soon. Just give us a brief update.
Right now, well, like you said, I have Pati and Lonely Out, which was my little collab with Maluma. We wound up doing that after we did the movie. We filmed a movie together called Marry Me with Owen Wilson as well. And that's going to be out next May 14th. It was supposed to be February 14th because it was like perfect
Valentine's
date movie.
Day, right?
Yeah, it was a perfect, but they just don't know if the theaters are going to be like, working then. So they moved it to May. It's a movie and an album. But after the movie, we were like, let's do some Maluma and J.Lo. Why don't we do that too? He sent me Lonely and I sent him Pati, and then we loved it. So I was like, I have an idea for a video, and then the record company loved it, so we put it out. And it was just one of those things that just happened. And we wound up putting Pati in the movie as well. So
always a lot going on from you, J.Lo. I am sure that you're excited to get back on set and out there in the real world doing things. Unfortunately, obviously, the world is kind of shut down right now. I remember seeing you some BTS on set of Hustlers, and you were drinking out of this bedazzled cup with your name J.Lo on it. Is that a thing? Because I would expect you to be drinking out of it at all times.
Yeah, I do. I do drink out of it at all times. I'm just having a little coffee break right now, but that's my water cup.
Like, even beyond set, you just carry around this bedazzled cup that says J.Lo on it?
Yes, it reminds me to drink my water because it's so beautiful.
I like it. Innovative.
Actually, gift. It was the first one I got was a gift for my birthday from a close friend of mine, and it was so cute, and it got like press. I took it to the set with me the next day in New York, and the cup got press, and it became like a thing. It has its own like Instagram page. Like I didn't do all that. That's just something that, and so then everybody started giving me cups. So every time I do a project, like, oh, here's my Marry Me cup. So like.
Oh, you just cupped out. Okay.
Yeah, and like when I did the Super Bowl, they made me this one. You know what I mean?
You're a cup connoisseur now.
Yeah, this is my DSW collab cup. So yeah.
Who would have thought that J.Lo is a cup connoisseur?
I know. You have to look up the original article. It says something about the cup and how it makes you feel. The cup will make you feel like ugly and poor. Just the cup.
The cup is calling me poor. The cup is calling me poor.
Okay.
When you think back to kind of early on, obviously J.Lo is the moniker that everyone knows you by, but where did that come from? Who was the first person that you remember to ever call you J.Lo?
Probably Heavy D. I don't know, a lot of the younger, generation watching this wouldn't know, but he was a rapper. He was in the studio when I was making my very first album over 20 years ago. And he came through it with a Puffy, who you guys know as Diddy now. And Diddy was a producer on that first album as well. And we were all in the studio, like Sony Studios back then. It doesn't even exist anymore, but you just had like all these artists in all these rooms. So everybody would kind of just go in and visit everybody else. It was Lauryn Hill and Wyclef in this room, and all the Sony artists were in there all the time. And Heavy D was in there one day, and he was just like, "What's up, J.Lo, J.Lo?" Like it became a thing. I guess, you started hearing it in records. People started referring to us, especially when I was dating Diddy. And so it just stuck. So when I did my second album, a year or two later, I decided to call it J.Lo. And that is something that, just like the cup, it just became a thing.
Right, and now it's got a life of its own. So here you are, so many years later, and I think back to this funny interview that you did with the Breakfast Club. You were promoting your song "Medicine," and DJ Envy said that he thought that the song was about weed, and you briefly mentioned, yeah, like not a weed smoker, never smoked, never been my thing, and everyone just kind of skated past that. But I'm curious, have you never ever smoked before
No, no.
in your entire
Not
life?
person. I'm not a drug person. I know people don't think of weed. Weed is like a little bit of a different category, but I'm not a drinker. I'm not a smoker. I'll occasionally have like when everybody's being more social, like a tiny bit of champagne or like some like fruity, white Russian-y, kind of sweet drink or something like that. But I'm not, I pretty much have never drunk or done any type of drugs my whole life. Yeah, it's not my thing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I know that you had a manager very early on in your career tell you that if you were to put out a record, you wouldn't be taken seriously as an actress. How
Right.
happy are you that you didn't take that person's advice?
Listen, that fool, yeah. Exactly. At the end of the day, the thing I've learned over the years is that you really have to just, nobody knows what's right for you but you. And you have to kind of just follow your gut and your instincts. And I always knew I wanted to make a record. And I had tried to make a record before that manager even represented me. And then when he started representing me, we really concentrated on my movie career started taking off. And I was being taken seriously as an actress. I had done, a few movies and, Mi Familia, and I think even all the way to Selena, he was with me. So he was like, and Out of Sight. I think that's when I wanted to make the record, and he was like, you won't be taken seriously as an actress anymore, and you're really on a great path for that. And you know what, a little bit of what he said was true. I'm glad it didn't stop me, but it did take away a little bit of like people remembering that I was a serious actress. Once you become a pop artist or a recording artist, they do try to marginalize you, like, well, she's not really good at that, and she's not really good at that. Like they tried to do the whole thing, but meanwhile, years later, you're still in the game and you're doing what you love, and none of it, what people say doesn't really matter, and I've shared my records with the world, and like I said, like 70 million albums later, it just doesn't matter. None of it matters.
Yeah. Great thing you didn't listen to him. I'll be the one to say it. You've got records that have gone all over the world, and you obviously have been all over the world yourself. And I remember a story that you said about a time where it really hit you that you had made it, and you were somewhere in Europe.
Yeah.
And you were in a room, and there were like hundreds of pairs of shoes, and you remember growing up with holes in your shoes. Can you tell us about that time?
Absolutely. I was promoting the J.Lo album. I was about to perform at the MTV Awards, I think, and I was about to do Love Don't Cost a Thing for the first time. It wasn't even a single yet. And the night before, we were like having trouble with my costume and stuff like that. And I was just jet lagged, so I was up. They leave my room, and I'm in there by myself, and I try to go to bed, and then I walk back into the other room, and without all the people in it, I could see, like, it just hit me, like looking at all the shoes lined up against the wall that they had for the red carpet and all this stuff, all these things that, and I was just like, oh my God, all these shoes for me? Because I remember like having to wear my shoes until they had holes in them. I don't know if anybody else ever had that experience, but when I lived in the Bronx, like this part of my foot right here would touch the ground at a certain point because I was very active. I was a bit of a tomboy, and I'd be running the streets outside and playing, and my shoes would get run down. And until then, it was like, okay, now it's time for a new pair of shoes. You know what I mean? And here I was standing in the middle of this room in Europe, promoting, my second album, and it was just incredible. It was incredible feeling to think how far I had come.
I imagine then along this journey, there have been other benchmark moments where it's also been a reminder. You look around, sometimes you're so stuck in the work that you don't realize everything that you've accomplished. I wonder, has there been a moment, or what has been a moment since that shoe moment where you're like, man, it's still going?
Yeah. Honestly, I think with the movie Hustlers, and the year that I just had, like right before the pandemic, I started training for Hustlers last February, the February of 2019, and I did Hustlers, and then I went on the Is My Party tour, which celebrated my birthday, a landmark birthday for me, and that broke records in Miami and different places. And then, I come off of that. I come back from Europe doing a couple of shows there, and we go to the Toronto Film Festival, and it takes off. Hustlers, just like all of a sudden it was like Oscar buzz and awards things, and it was just, and I was like, wow, the last time this happened was 20 years ago when I did Selena. And I just was like, I'm still here.
Still going, still kicking.
And we're still making noise, and we're still doing what we love to do. And I just felt incredibly blessed. And then they asked me to do the Super Bowl, and then I filmed Marry Me, and then we did the Super Bowl, and there was all these awards that we won for Hustlers, and it was just an incredible time and an incredible year to think that the last time that I had any kind of, like you said, accolades, or or anything like that. You were in the beginning of our conversation talking about being taken seriously as an actress. That years later, they finally gave it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Even though I got snubbed for the Oscar, it doesn't matter. I realized a lot during that time about myself and why I'm here, because it's not really about the awards. It never was.
Yeah.
I do this for many, many other more profound reasons than that.
I want to switch gears a bit, and I think back to a clip from 1998 where young A-Rod says that his dream date would be with J.Lo.
Yeah.
And if there's ever been a moment that told me that dreams come true and to stay the course, it was that. What advice do you got to people out there, man? Is it important to stay the course? Because then good things eventually happen to those that are patient, right?
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know what, you realize it is about staying the course. It is about persistence. It is about hard work, because there's a lot of talented people. There's a lot of people who get, the privilege of an amazing education. Some of us don't. But none of that is really the X factor. The X factor is what you're willing to do, and not ever giving up on that. And that is really the X factor, like how hard you, like, even when I talk, Alex will tell you the same thing. It's like, he was a great baseball player from the time he was 15. He was great, like a lot, but he didn't understand how great he was until he started working really hard and realized like that was his X factor. And it was the same thing with me. I was talented, but it was the X factor of how hard I was willing to work on my roles, how hard I was willing to train, how hard I was willing to do things, work on the things that I wanted to be great at, that gave me the longevity in this business that I think I've had. So for sure, not giving up and staying the course is a big part of that.
I imagine that, being in a public relationship is not something that's ideal. I'm even scared to post somebody on my own Instagram, and I ain't nobody. You know what I'm saying? So for you, as somebody who's unfortunately...
That I don't know you that well, so we have to figure out why that is.
We got to diagnose this. But for you, as somebody who's done it for so long, what are maybe some pros and cons of it? Or maybe are they only cons? Are they only pros?
Yeah, I learned early in my career that you do have to keep something sacred for yourself. And I got burned really badly with some really high profile relationships that meant a lot to me that really couldn't survive under the spotlight. So you realize that it's a balance. It's a balance of being real and being authentic and not wanting to hide yourself or hide your feelings, but being able to live authentically and also keeping things that are sacred. So it's just a balance, and it's a delicate dance that you have to learn when you're a public person. You have to learn how to do that tango, how to do it where you feel it's livable for you, and it's different for everybody. Some people like to put it all out there, and they're fine with that. And some people don't want to put anything out there, and that's fine too. And then there's people who, you know, for me it was about kind of keeping things sacred and sharing enough with my fans where they still feel connected to me as a person.
You say it's a delicate dance, and that reminds me of, you know, a few months back, you and A-Rod were on IG Live with Puff dancing, raising funds for some sort of, it was like a dance-a-thon of some sort. Is this, these moments on paper, one would think would be so awkward and so weird to have, you know, you in your current state on live with somebody that you used to date. Is that not weird at all?
Yeah, it's not weird for me. And, you know, it's a credit to Alex, to be honest, because some guys in a relationship would be like, I want him. That was somebody you were with 20 years ago. And it's just like, no, we're all adults and we're all trying to make the world a better place. And if an old friend calls on me and says, hey, help us, and I go to Alex, do you want to do this? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. It's not awkward at all. It's actually something to be celebrated. I think, you know, people from our past and having relationships and things like that, you know, and looking back on them and all of that stuff is just part of life. It's part of the journey. And how you handle that afterwards, again, is up to the individual. And so long as it's within your integrity, you have to just make your own choices. And for me, I've always chosen to, you know, with a little time and distance, be friends with the people who were in my life at once that I really cared about. Like, there's no reason to hate people, you know, for mistakes that were made or things that it didn't work out. It's okay. It's part of the lessons. It's part of the journey.
You're a super successful businesswoman in your own right. A-Rod also a super successful businessman. I wonder how often you guys trade business tips, business secrets. What's some maybe good advice or some good stuff that you've learned from Alex?
Oh my God, I've learned so much from Alex. You know, my whole philosophy on how I approach business is different since he came into my life, because he understood, you know, kind of the private equity world and ownership and kind of money part of business much more than I did, because I've always been an artist, and that part of it has never been that important to me. But I am a creator, and he helped me realize, as when a great person comes into your life, that I was the scarce asset, that I was the one, like that thing. Like, a lot of people have money, a lot of people don't have what artists have to offer. They don't have that vision, they don't have that creativity. And he's like, we have to protect that, and you have to own the things that you do, and you have to, you know, really, you know, no more licensing deals. We're not doing that. We're not giving away all this stuff for free. And, you know, and he taught me so much about that. And we work together a lot now on a lot of different ventures. And we plan to build a lot of things together.
You said this quote once in an interview. You said, there's this thing with artists, they feel so much gratitude to be able to do what they love that you don't give yourself the value and the worth you desire. When did you realize,
Deserve.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
the value and worth you deserve? When did you realize the worth that you deserve? Did that happen recently? Is that something that happened a while back? When did that happen?
You know, I think you have to. For me, it was older, because again, coming from someone, when you're someone with holes in your shoes, and you start having all of this stuff, there's a part of you that thinks you don't deserve it, and so it's a lifelong kind of journey to appreciating yourself and loving yourself and going, no, I do deserve this. I've worked hard for this. It's okay, you know, for me to feel good about that, and I think, again, with artists, especially artists who are minorities, you know, we feel like we're lucky, we got lucky or something like that. And you shouldn't. If you made it happen, you made it happen, and you should stand in that power and understand yourself and understand the value that you bring. And nobody can be you. You know what I mean? Nobody can be you. And so that is, everybody holds that power. Every single individual holds that power, and you just need to understand that. And once you do, you unlock a limitlessness to the things that you can do. I believe that's the way I live. But babe, I didn't know this when I was, 20 something years old. It took a lot of people, not appreciating me, and me feeling like I got cheated, or things didn't go my way, or allowing people to give you less than what you should have gotten before I realized that.
There was a time that you made a company $2 billion and you only took home less than 5% of that. What was the deal with it?
5% of that, no.
Not even
Not
5%. Why?
No, no, because I made a licensing deal, and they told me that it was a great deal. That's what they tell you. This is the best deal anybody's ever gotten. And then you go, well, wait, how did you make $2 billion? And I made 10. 10, not billion, 10 million. And people go, well, you made 10 million. That's amazing. But in the grand scheme of things, when you come up with the product and it's your name on it, and you're come up with the marketing plan, and you come up with all these things, and all they're putting in is the money, and that's what Alex taught me, you deserve to share in that as well if you built that. So those are money things, and sometimes when you're talking to millions and billions, it's hard for people to understand, and it's not that I'm not grateful for that. I was very grateful for that at that time, but what I learned is that what I was doing, it was imbalanced. There was a big imbalance of what the powers that be were getting, as opposed to me, who was creating the whole entire thing and making it happen. When you're that rainmaker, that creative person, that visionary, why shouldn't you benefit just as much as the money people?
Yeah, for sure, and that makes sense. You deserve your portion as well, just like everybody else do.
Yeah.
I feel that. Obviously, you've been successful for so very long, more than half of your life almost, or half of your life at least, you've been famous. And it's been over 25 years since you've driven a car. And to some people that might seem crazy.
I used to drive myself around all the time when I first started working. And then I almost fell asleep at the wheel a couple of times because I was working so much. And when you work on movies and you're a young, actress, 20-something years old, and you're driving around in your Honda hatchback, and you guys don't even know what a hatchback is, but it was like a little mini, station wagon that was this big, and I'm driving around in that, and you almost get into a couple accidents. And so they were like, let us send you a Teamster, which is the union for the drivers on the set, to pick you up so you don't wind up, on one of these night shoots, going off the side of the road. And since then, I've just, have done that. I've had people just drive me all the time. And now I have an anxiety to drive because it's something that I never do. So when I get behind the wheel, I'm like, I can't do this.
It's been 25 years since you've driven a car. How many years has it been since you were in a bank?
In a bank?
Yeah.
A long time. A long time.
Give me an estimate.
We don't bank that way. I don't know. Years. Also years and years.
Like 10 plus?
Yeah. More than that, maybe.
20 plus years.
Different lifestyle. And let me tell you something. It's not something that I'm particularly proud of. Being in this lifestyle, to a certain extent, makes you kind of helpless at times. You know what I mean? People are doing for you because they want you to keep producing, and you're doing it, and you're loving what you do, and all of a sudden you look around and you're like, how do I have, how do I, where's my thing? You know what I mean? Like, you're like looking for things. It's like, it's you can make it funny, but there's a part of it that you go, yeah, I need to be more self-sufficient at times, as self-sufficient as people might think you are because you're successful in certain ways. This type of lifestyle can, in a way, incapacitate you in other ways. It's funny. It's just a weird inside thing that people don't know, know?
Yeah, so it's been a long time since you've driven, obviously a long time since you've banked. How about something like a supermarket? Has it been that long since you've been to a supermarket?
No, I'm not going to supermarkets because, every once in a while I want to cook something and I'll take the kids or something like that. Yeah, no, supermarkets I've always gone into. It's not like a normal everyday thing, like every few days I go to, but that happens, yeah.
Okay, how about a mall, like a shopping mall?
A little harder at times, and again, more for my kids than for anything else. Like, they want to go to a certain store, they want to, go someplace or hang out there and get some little food that's at the mall, you know what I mean, or fast food or something, and I'll take them, but not a lot. I'm not a mall person.
And then I guess lastly, how about public transit? When was the last time you were on like a train or a bus?
I mean, when I filmed the Same Girl video, and who knows, I might be on another one soon when things get back to normal a little bit.
Fair enough. You say you kind of become, or you need to become a little more self-sufficient because so many people want to help you. I'm wondering, what is one thing though that regardless of...
They have to help you, or else you won't get everything done.
Fair.
Like, there's no way, right? So you need help, but then having help makes things a little bit harder for you when you're on your own. It's crazy.
I'm wondering what's one thing that regardless of how successful you become or already are, regardless of how much money, regardless of any of the accolades, something that you will never change, that you'll always do, that maybe just feels a little regular to the everyday person. Is there something that the money won't change you?
I think I am regular. I think I have a crazy life. You know what I mean? A very busy life, a life full of tons of responsibility, and it's a very fast life. But I feel like a regular. I still feel like I did when I rode the 6 train. I really do.
But is there a thing? Is there a thing that you'll still do, or like maybe there's like I will still cook every Sunday, or I will still go to pick up my coffee or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I still do everything. I still cook. I still, do those things. I don't know. I don't see myself as such a not regular person. I get up every day. I work out. I do all the normal things. I get my kids up. I get them to school. It's just a normal life. In a way, but not.
Yeah, I'm not buying this. I'm not buying that you have a normal life, J.Lo, but I
kind of do. I do. I mean, on the daily, unless I'm working, and then it becomes a crazy thing that is, I feel very privileged to live,
As you should, but you've earned it. You've earned it.
Thank you.
There's a ritual that you do every Christmas. Everyone goes to sleep. You go sit out by the Christmas tree and just kind of reflect on the year that was and maybe everything that's going on. I'm wondering what that reflection period might look like this year.
Oh, I don't know. It just gave me chills when you said that. It is a ritual of mine. I love Christmas time at night. I love putting up a beautiful tree, and I remember it from the time I lived in my mom's house, and I was 10 or 11 years old, laying on the couch and just looking at the tree. And just the wonder of that just always made me think about life and family and what's important. And I think that this year will be no different. It'll be thinking about those things, and that we survived this year, which was probably one of the more anxiety-filled years that we've all lived together, and that we're okay. And I think I'm gonna just be filled with a lot of gratitude this year. I'm glad that we've changed administrations. I'm glad for a lot of things. I know it was a tough year, but I felt like a lot of things needed to change, and they're on their way to doing that. We shook the tree, let's just say.
Yeah, you shook the tree. It's a perfect segue, because that's literally the next thing I was going to ask you about. We've kind of seen you lean into, using your platform in a political space. I know that you met with the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who unfortunately passed away. You also were, kind of helping out Biden on the campaign trail. And obviously, at this point, former Vice President Joe Biden has become the president-elect. And unless something crazy happens, he will be our next president. I'm wondering why you were so adamant and vocal using your platform to support, and what you're hoping that the next few years look like under his presidency.
Yeah, I hated the energy that we were living under the past 4 years of having somebody in office in an administration that promoted division and hate. And to me, there's just no excuse for that. I don't care what you do for the economy and all the rhetoric. It's not even about that. It's about having decent people of character in places of positions of power. And for me, it was more about being a fundamentally good human being and having someone with some integrity and some real caring for people, not just themselves and their own agendas and what's going to benefit them. And I think it was important for me to stand up and help make a change in that way, and that's why I supported and supported Biden through this process. And in the next 4 years, I just hope that we can repair some of the damage that's been done and make it a little bit more uncomfortable for people to feel like they can mistreat other people because they're not the same race as them, or not the same religion, or not the same sexual orientation, or any of those things that I felt was such a big presence in this past 4 years.
Obviously, we have a country that, people are allowed to support whoever they decide to. That's democracy. And all we can do is kind of share our opinions and hopefully lead people in what we believe is the right direction. But there are so many Latino people who tend to skew Republican. In Florida particularly, a lot of Cuban Americans are voting for Trump. Why do you think, as a Latino, why do you think that is? Why do so many Latino people skew that way?
I don't understand the mentality. I honestly did. If I did, I would explain it, but I don't. When you have somebody who's saying, build a wall and keep Latinos out, or that they're putting immigrants in cages, little Latino kids in cages, and you're okay with voting for somebody like that because you think it might benefit you financially, or you're worried about taxes or something like that. It's such a I don't understand it. I can't explain it. I have no explanation for it. I just hope that we can just get more united on the things that we do agree upon, and support each other in a more wholesome and good way of living. Like that to me is the main thing. Like that doing the right things and being kind to people becomes more the norm than being upset if you want to wear a mask and somebody else doesn't, and fighting. Like those type of things, and seeing those type of things, it's like makes me want to cry,
Yeah, likewise. You've accomplished so very much in your career. We'd be here all night if I began to list accolades and everything that you've accomplished. I'm wondering though, here you are at 50, being in the game for decades upon decades. I'm wondering if at your core, you are still Jenny from the block.
You don't even have to ask me that question. You didn't even have to ask me that question. You didn't. I'm still Jenny from the block, and that's why I say that's how I feel. That's how I always feel. I'll always be the girl with holes in her shoes, even though she has a closet full now. It's just that mentality never leaves you. It's that grind. It's that, drive that I got from being in the Bronx, from living in the Bronx, from coming from the block, from hanging out on the stoop, from watching my parents struggle, from all of those things, that made me who I am today. And that continues to feed me as a person and drive me to do better and better and better I can, not just for myself, but to set an example for everybody, or not a set example, but to inspire people to do their best too.
Realizing that one day there will be a biopic on Jennifer Lopez, you're nominated or you're going to be honored, with the TCA Icon Award, and you will one day receive Lifetime Achievement Awards. Does it all feel real, or do you ever have these moments where you're like, man, I still kind of can't believe this?
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's true. I'm not saying it to be humble or anything like that. It's just they sat to the People's Choice Icon Award and the Billboard Icon Award and the Wall Street Journal Icon Award on my table yesterday, and I was like, what the hell is happening right now? And we all are like laughing. Even the people who work with me and who see that, it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable, and it's nice to be recognized in that way, and it's nice. But honestly, baby, it's not the important thing. It's not why I do it, and I think that's why I'll always keep doing it. I'll always keep, I'll always be an artist. I'll always be creating. I'll always be trying to make people feel something and dance and sing and smile and cry. Like, that's my life. and that will never change.
My last question then, you said that the reason why you do these things, all of these things will never change regardless of the accolades. J.Lo, you could have stopped working 10 years ago and literally just enjoyed the life that you earned for yourself. Here we are, you're 50, you've just come off a residency for 3 years, over 100 shows, you still perform in front of millions upon millions of people, you're shooting day after day and music video after this and that. You do not have to do any of this, and you could finally just enjoy the fruits of your labor, but you decide not to. Why?
It's not that I'm not enjoying it, it's that this is what I enjoy. It's funny, you mentioned the Breakfast Club earlier. I went over there and Charlemagne said to me, "Why are you here promoting your record?" And I was like,
yeah, see, even the radio is an even different realm.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah, I was like, this is what I do. I love what I do, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy sharing my music with people and my message with people. My message has always been about love, and I don't know, when you're an artist, there is no end game. It's just, you just keep on, and you just keep on, and you just keep on, and I don't know, it's just the way it is.
That's just the way it is. Well, J.Lo, I thank you so very much for taking the time. I appreciate
Thank you.
you, and I wish you all the best. Continue being great and stay safe amidst this pandemic.
Thank you, you too, baby. Best to your family.